Welcome back, everyone, to your podcast, our podcast, the Popular Side Podcast. As always, here's Yinka Yusuf.
Good evening, people.
And I'm Akin Adike. Yinka, we have a big show today. It's our 50th episode. We're finally here. It's been a little over a year. I think we started in January of 24. Today is the 2nd of February. On a Sunday. We're recording on a Sunday, 2nd of February. So happy 50th episode. Happy a little over first year anniversary. We did it. We're here. It is, we're still going. What do you think? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good, my brother. I'm feeling very good.
All right.
Something that started like a joke. Something like started like a dare I say, and I mean, 1 year after, over 1 year, 50 episodes after, I think we only missed 3 weekends. Yeah? If my math is correct. I think we only missed.
We lost 1 weekend. We lost
exactly.
We lost one due to technology, I think. To technology. We actually recorded the episode and then we lost it.
And then we lost it. Yeah.
And then there was one where we were traveling. Well, I was traveling, more like.
Yes.
And then we lost one when I was in Nigeria. We recorded twice in Nigeria, but not a third time.
Yes.
So I think we missed 3 episodes.
Yeah, we missed 3 episodes, which is consistent, which is impressive.
Not bad.
Yeah? A little motivational speech to everyone listening. Stop procrastinating. Just do it. I'm not doing adverts for Nike, but hey, it is what it is. Just get stuff done, right? Just start. It doesn't need to be perfect. Yeah. It doesn't need to be what you want it to be day one. You remember day one, we started off on just normal something like a WhatsApp call or a Google was Google, right?
No, I think it's Google.
It was Google.
Yeah, we use Google.
Yeah. We use Google. And that episode was 2 hours 30 minutes, if I remember vividly, because we just kept on talking. But over the years, we've kind of worked everything out. We've perfected, well, not really perfected, but we've improved significantly, and we're getting it down to 1 hour 30 minutes every episode. So, congrats, well done, young man.
Kudos to us. Congratulations.
Kudos to us.
All right.
Kudos to us.
We've been talking about our giveaway, but before we do that, let's do a quick fit check. And there's a reason for it because it ties into the giveaway. So you start first. What are you wearing?
So I'm commemorating with Manchester City. My mic is blocking, so let me just shift that so y'all can see. So this is a Manchester City kit. We'll talk about them later on, but they lost 2 games to Arsenal today, not 1. So I'm trying to be, nice guy. So I'm trying to, be on their side and show them some love. So I'm putting on the Manchester City kit. This is the kit from 2-3 years ago, and I think this is their 3rd kit.
Yinka, you're trolling them. That's what you're doing. So for me, not a jersey, but there's a reason I have this on. This is Howard University. I think I've worn this before. It's a special commemorative sweatshirt from the COVID times. This is an All-Star Game 2022 for the NBA. It was held in Cleveland. And this is post George Floyd. Lots of U.S. businesses were, I don't know. What were they doing, Yinka? What would I say they were doing? Like remembering Black people lived in the U.S.? I don't know. So people
like
were
that.
falling all over themselves. Yeah, falling all over themselves to support Black businesses and Black people. So this is Howard University, HBCU pride, historically Black colleges and university. Obviously, I went there for law school. I wear this in honor of one. We have a big NBA story coming up at the top of the show. Yinka?
Yes, sir.
I was out last night. Remember Mr. X, who sent a question the other day, one of my really good friends. He turned 50 yesterday. So we went out last night celebrating his 50th. And it was while we were together I got the alert that there was a trade in the NBA. So let's just set it up. Luka Dončić from the Dallas Mavericks is moving. It doesn't matter who else is moving, or we're not going to talk about who else or what picks. Nobody cares. Moving to your Lakers, and then in return, Anthony Davis, AD, is moving to Dallas. So I'm just going to let you go. So that is the setup. Go for it.
So, unlike you, I'm more interested in the details of the trade. So I'll talk a bit more about it.
I'm not.
Yeah. So I'll talk a bit more about it. So the trade is a 3-team trade. Lakers will receive Dončić, Max Kleber, Markieff Morris. The
Nobody cares.
Mavs
Nobody
will
cares.
receive Anthony Davis and Max Christie, together with Ellis' first-round pick. And nobody cares about what Jazz got. So that's the version of nobody cares, right? But people care about what happened between the Mavs and the Lakers, Akin. So saying this was seismic is an understatement, Akin. It was a shock. This came out of nowhere. I personally, when I got the alert, I looked at my phone and I'm like, these parody accounts are at it again. Who is mimicking or who is impersonating Shams? That's what I said. So I had to open the tweet. I looked at it and I saw this is Shams' account. Next thing that came in my mind is, who hacked Shams? Because Sham will not say this. Somebody must have hacked him. This is not possible. So I left Twitter and I went to Instagram and I saw the same thing there. And I'm like, this hacker must be very, 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 very good. How is this hacker doing this? Until I started seeing multiple accounts saying it's true. The trade happened. I'm like, what is going on here? This is the most shocking trade in NBA history ever. Nobody trades a 25-year-old superstar. Akin, nobody does that except Mark Cuban. Yeah? Because that's exactly what has happened. Anthony Davis is 31, 32, 30, 31, 32. Yeah, I think.
Mm-hmm. I think
Luka
31.
Dončić is 25. Luka
About to be
Dončić
26
is
this
25.
month, but
about to be 26, yeah. Luka Dončić is been an all-star forever. Luka Dončić, if not for the injury, was on track to be the MVP for the regular season. So my question to you, Akin, why do you think this trade happened? Because from what we've heard that it was Mark Cuban that actually approached the Lakers to say, you know what, I'm willing to. So answer me, please, because I'm confused with this. Why do you think this happened?
Okay. So the one thing I try not to do with this platform is to do hot takes, right? It's not how I consume sports, right? I don't believe in hot takes. I can joke and we can kid around and I can troll people with the best of them. And I enjoy trolling because what is the point of sports if you can't troll people? But I also like reasoned takes. Sports is a business. Sports is humans. Sports is emotions. There's a lot that goes into it. Okay, so having said all that, let's look at the background of this, right? Mark Cuban was like the maverick, no pun intended, the maverick owner in the NBA, right? For a very, 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 very long time, right? And then he's gotten older and wiser in his later years. And then it got to a point where he sold the team, right? So he sold the team to a family, a casino-owning family. It still retains, I think, a third maybe of the team. I can't remember. But what they told us was he will still be in charge of basketball operations, right? But he's no longer in charge of the pockets of the team, right? So Luka Dončić is up or will be eligible for a super max, which is like $600 gazillion.
325, Akin. Calm down.
The official position is that he's poorly conditioned, and that's led to many injuries in the last few years. You know, Luka plays there's 82 regular season games. Luka averages 60 to 70, 65 to 70 a year, right? But Luka also plays a lot of minutes. Luka doesn't rest when he's playing. And Luka is a very, what's the word I'm looking for? Is a high usage player, right?
Yep.
So I think I think this is about money, and I think it's not a Mark Cuban decision. So for me, I think the money is number one. The conditioning is what you need to tell your fan base. Even that doesn't make sense. That makes sense for Zion Williamson, who eats everything in New Orleans and doesn't work out and gets injured all the time. That's not Luka. So Luka, for those who don't watch basketball, Luka is LeBron without the athletic ability, right? That's who Luka is. The same game, but earthbound, cannot fly like LeBron. But basketball IQ, similar, score and facilitate, similar, big, 6, not as big as LeBron, but big enough, same.
Yeah.
Anyone and everyone, you can build. He's the quintessential, I want to build around one guy. Yeah. Early on, LeBron got better with age. LeBron is almost automatic now. From just like Jason Kidd was later in his career. LeBron didn't come in as a shooter. You're right. They just grew up differently. They grew up in different eras. So for me, you're replacing LeBron with earthbound LeBron, who can jump, but who has found a way to use his body and and do stuff and all that. So for me, for the Lakers is a no-brainer. For the Mavs, it is a brainer. We got to ask the question, like, what are you doing? And I think they're lying to us, in my opinion. It's not about conditioning. You know what I mean? Like, if it's conditioning, is AD conditioned? He's always injured.
So I hear you, and I don't disagree with you. I think, yes, money might have played some part to it. I don't know the differential between, so they don't want to pay him 325. So Luka is the one that they've kind of short served right now, because Luka would then go to LA. He won't get the max anymore, right? Because
it's not eligible.
He's not eligible anymore, right?
The Supermax.
The Supermax. And I hear you on the fact that the person that right now, the two of them are injured. Both Luka and Nady, they're not playing. They're injured, right? So it tells you, a lot about conditioning. Yeah. This guy is not well conditioned. He's not fit. That's why he's losing games. All those things. I don't really agree to what they've said. But there's a logic behind what Mavs have done. And hear me out. Mavs are looking at it like, we have somebody who we are suppressing his skill set in Kyrie Irving, who is a decent point guard in comparison to Luka. Some people might even argue that Kyrie and Luka, no. I said decent. I didn't say they are the same level. Stop shaking your head, young man. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying what we don't have.
I will keep shaking my head.
What we don't have is a defensive-minded center that can also contribute offensively. And we are in a win-now mode. We're in a win-now mode, and we believe we have a better chance of winning if we improve our defensive efficiency by bringing AD on board and giving the keys to the offense to Kyrie. Now, that sounds all dandy and whatever, right? But frankly, I look at them, I'm like,
crazy.
This is not a slam dunk trade. Right now, you are not guaranteed to come out of the West. So stop deceiving people. You are not guaranteed with this trade to come out of the West. Right now, they are in playoff position. They're not even in top 1 to 6, right? So you think getting AD and Kyrie together is what's going to propel you to the NBA championship, NBA finals? Personally, I don't see that. So this win now mode that we're in, that they are projecting to everybody, I disagree with that, right? From the LA side of things, right? It's a no-brainer for LA. You're getting a 25-year-old for your future. So right now, for me, I think what the LA has done, LA has thrown the middle finger to Clutch Sports to say, guys, you don't control this organization. We do. Ginny Boss just looked at them and said, I am in charge here. You can't run this organization for me, right? Because Bron was not in the know on this trade. Bron didn't know what was going on. He did not. And they more or less told Bron, now we have Luka. Whatever you want to do, it's your call. Yeah? After this year, if you choose to retire, your call. You cannot hold us to ransom and just say do whatever no, it's not gonna work. So that's what I think the LA Lakers have done with this trade. Akin, over to you.
Okay, so a couple things, and then we're gonna move on. So Luka is 25. He'll be 26 at the end of February this month.
Yeah.
Anthony Davis is 31. He will be 32 next month.
In March.
Right? So let's call them 32 and 26. Let's call them 32 and 26. There's 6 years between them.
Yeah.
I'm going to go crazy and say if Luka was 31 and Anthony was 25, the Lakers still won that trade. They are not even close. Like, you can call them both superstars if you want. I'm not one of these people that goes gaga over potential. When you're already 31, I should not be talking about your potential, Yinka. So I never want to hear about Kyrie Irving ever again on this podcast. Drop my mic and walk away. Let's not ever, Yinka, let's not ever speak about Kyrie Irving again. When Luka dragged his behind to the finals, that man had one good quarter in the final. Let's never speak that name again, okay? The fact that you make a ton of money doesn't make you a superstar. Or you can call them a superstar. But they're not Jokic, Adetokunbo, and Dončić, or LeBron, okay? Let me go even crazier, Yinka. If Dončić was 35 and Anthony Davis was 31, the Lakers still won the trade. He's just 10 times as useful. You don't understand, Yinka. If I have only one superstar player, I want him to be Adetokunbo. I want him to be Jokic. I want him to be LeBron. I want it to be Dončić. Everybody else, I'm not going to call them just a guy like I call them, but in the pantheon of superstars, they're just a superstar. You know, they have a little boil on the side of their leg. You know, they have a little something. You know what I mean? Those four, in my opinion, are the only ones that are above reproach. It doesn't mean they're perfect. It doesn't mean their game is perfect. But with them, I mean, some people will argue Steph, but that's not me. Steph is too small. Steph needs too many other things. Those four don't need a lot for me not to be in purgatory, for me not to be winning only 20 games out of 82. So this outrage, the outrage should be on one side of the trade. It's what are the Mavs doing? That is the only analysis that we should be having. Nobody should say anything about the Lakers. To flip Anthony Davis into one of the best players to ever live and is 6 years younger, are you crazy? The Lakers won like 100-0. I don't care what happens. This season's gone. Who cares? Who cares? You know, if this was Adetokunbo that somebody was getting, are we having this debate? Yeah. If this was Jokic that somebody was getting, are we having a debate? So this whole thing that the man gets injured, I'm like, are we talking about AD and then you're telling me someone else gets injured? AD gets injured while this guy sat on the court on one end while his teammates were running on the other end 3 against 4 or 4 against 5. He was crying, holding whatever was broken this time. What are we talking about? So the Lakers have done it again. This is what they do. They got Shaq. They got Shaq for nothing. How do you get Shaq as a free agent? In his prime. This is what the Lakers do. Yinka?
But Akin, the surprising bit here, Akin, bit is it's the Mavs that initiated this trade.
Which is why I'm telling you there's something.
Makes sense. Yes.
That's it.
Which is why your money angle makes sense.
Yeah.
And to wrap this up, Akin, before we move on, quick one. LA played at the Garden yesterday. LeBron had a triple-double, first 40-year-old to have multiple triple-doubles and everything. and nobody's talking about the game. I'm sure LeBron is pissed right now.
Nobody cares.
That nobody's talking about what I've just done, and everybody's talking about this trade that just came from the Blues. No one is aware. No one was aware, rather. So interesting bit. LeBron has come out to say he's not gonna request for a trade. He will remain the Laker for the rest of the season.
I saw that.
Blah 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 blah. But I think he's probably gonna leave at the end of the season if he doesn't retire.
Why do you think he's going to leave?
So, two things.
Yeah.
Everyone knows LeBron loves playing GM. And the LA brass, Ginny and what's his name, Rob Pelinka, with this trade, they've wrestled the GM powers of Bron. That's what has happened. And that's why I think you'll be like, oh, really? Is that what we're doing? That's why I think he will leave. I might be wrong. This is, if you ask me on a scale of 1 to 100, how confident am I of this? It's probably in the 40s or 50s. But something tells me, Bron, being the kind of person he is, right? I think he might leave or he might retire. One of the two.
So I'm glad you are saying it, and I'm not the one saying it, right? Because if I said it, it would be termed hate. But you're a Lakers fan, so you can say it.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. I said I don't want to do hot takes, but I'm going to do one. LeBron just got his best teammate he's ever played with. LeBron has never played with another player that is at the level of LeBron. And I know it's blasphemy for some, but the numbers don't lie. Linka, you like talking about the eye test. The eye test doesn't lie. They do it in different ways, but they do the same thing. And no, Luka Dončić cannot play defense. Young LeBron played some defense, but LeBron hasn't played defense in 10 years, so they're practically the same guy.
Yeah.
You know, Luka Dončić is not athletic. We understand that. But like you said, you give or take a little bit. This is the closest that LeBron has ever been to playing with someone on his level. I'm sorry, I love Dwayne Wade. He's not LeBron James. No one that LeBron has ever played with. AD is not LeBron James. AD is not Luka Dončić. So if LeBron leaves, okay. So, Yinka, we're going to move on to our next word you mentioned. One of my favorite players of all time, Steve Gerrard, has left his coaching role in Saudi Arabia. We don't need to talk too much about this. I think it was a money grab. He didn't really have one of the better teams, and now he's out. What do you think?
I think this is a slap on his coaching career. Yeah, his best stint has been when he was at was it Rangers, right?
Rangers.
It was when he was at Rangers. He came to Villa. He started off strong. Then he kind of he faded away more or less, and he was fired. Right now, he's gone to Saudi, which is, you said, is a money grab. I think it's a drop in quality, and still yet you didn't smash it there.
Yeah,
you're asked to leave. So his trajectory to become the next Liverpool manager, or it's like he was betrothed to be the Liverpool manager, or ordained from day one. Now it looks shaky. It looks very, very, very shaky. But you know the way these things work. That doesn't mean he won't still be a Liverpool manager one day. But for me, I think it just makes him. This is like a stamp or close to one that you don't have the necessary skill sets to be a manager, and maybe going into punditry might be your thing. But if you heard Gerrard speak also, he's not the exciting speaker. He doesn't really, he's meek, he's calm, you hardly hear him when he speaks, So he looks like a lion as a player, right? And he's looking like a cat as a coach and as a pundit, because I've seen him do punditry before. So that's my perspective. A championship level coach. Maybe that's where I place him right now. Will he learn? Will things change? At least he's better than Gary Neville. He's better than Gary Neville, right? Way, way better than Gary Neville in terms of coaching. But now it probably needs to go into something else. Coaching is not his thing.
So, this is one of my favorite players of all time.
Absolutely.
I think of the players I've watched try to play that kind of holding, kind of shuttling midfield role. In his generation and the generation just before and just after him, maybe I put Patrick Vieira before him. I don't think I put a lot of other people. I mean, Xavi's a different animal, different kind of player. But once you isolate Xavi, Patrick Vieira, there really isn't that much. I don't put Yaya Toure before Steven Gerrard. Me personally, I do not. So that's how big, in my opinion, Steve Gerrard is. Again, it goes back to, if the cupboard is bare and all you have is one player, can I survive? And Gerrard is one of the few players, because football is different from basketball. Basketball, one person can make a big difference. Gerrard can't with 10 average players. He was that good. He's committed. If you give him good health, you're good, because it's going to give you everything every day. I'm wary of saying someone cannot do something just because they haven't done it. I felt the same way. The example I gave was the Italian manager of Leicester. I used to back him hard, not because I loved the club when he was with Chelsea.
Ranieri.
Because everyone, including my brother, Ranieri, because everyone used to say, oh, you can't do this because Mourinho took his players and did something. I'm like, no, Mourinho took his players plus 200 million worth of other players and did something. And Mourinho didn't come into a club that was nothing. Mourinho came into a club that was in the semifinals of the Champions League, the year before. So for me, the fact that you haven't done it yet doesn't mean you can't do it. So I think Steven Gerrard can coach. If you want to coach again, I wouldn't have gone to Saudi. In hindsight, he shouldn't have gone to Saudi. So I would say go to Belgium, go to Portugal, take a mid-table club like a Crystal Palace. And
go
really,
to championship. Go to the championship.
Championship stuff is hard. Look. I mean, how many times has Wayne Rooney gone to the championship? He's never been successful. It's hard.
Wayne Rooney is worse as a coach.
It's not a coach.
Not everybody is cut from that cloth of a coach. Not everyone. You know the people that are and the people that aren't. Yeah. Wayne Rooney is worse than Stevie Gerrard. But Stevie Gerrard is okay. Stevie Gerrard is better than Frank Lampard, right? But is not.
Yeah,
I would get what I mean. It's not elite. Anyway, let's move on.
Okay. So Yinka, something happened. We talked about this last week. The Wolves versus Arsenal game. There was a straight red for the Arsenal kid, Miles Lewis Skelly, MLS. It was ridiculous to everyone. We said last week that even Arsenal haters thought the PGMOL had gone too far. There was an independent commission. They rescinded the red. So now the kid was able to play today against Man City. Having said all that, the PGMOL have now charged... the FA, not the PGMOL. The FA have now charged, because the PGMOL, they control the referees. So the FA have now charged Arsenal for failure to keep their players in check. This sounds crazy to me. One, you haven't come out and said we goofed. An independent commission said you goofed. The whole hearing lasted what? It was unanimous, and we got the result on the same day, Yinka. So that tells you were so bad. And we're not going to relitigate it, but how ridiculous is this charge?
It's crazy, Akin. And like you said, I don't want us to spend too much time on this. These guys, if you watch anybody that watches the Premier League constantly, every single team this season was a card is given against teams crowd referees. Teams do. So how come you are cherry picking after what has happened? It shows you're like, we are unhappy with what has happened. We don't like the fact that y'all got unanimous decision on the red card being rescinded, and we just want to show you people Pepe. That what it seems like to me, right? Which is wrong. Just let it die a natural death. This sounds vindictive. It sounds immature. Out of almost every single team that does this week in, week out, and I didn't check, this is probably the first club. Arsenal is probably the first club that was charged with this particular case of crowding the referee this season. And we see it every
Possibly.
week. It's something that happens every week. So this is just, it is ridiculous. They just let it die a natural death, but they haven't. They want to just keep on digging themselves in, which is stupid in my opinion, frankly.
Okay, I will give you that last word and we'll move on. So we've come to the end of worthy mentions. Yinka, we had a busy week in the world of football. Busy week. So before we do any league stories, let's quickly recap the Champions League. There were many, was it 18 matches? We're not going to go through all of them.
18 matches.
Just highlight a few, and then let's talk about the draws and what's interesting in the next round, and then we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, so 18 matches, the key games, I think one of the major ones that everyone focused on was Man City's game at home to Club Brugge. And Man City were very lucky, Aki. They were very lucky. That game could have gone south fast. Bruce scored first. The Man City scored. There was an own goal. Then, they scored 3. 3-1 flattered Man City significantly.
Yeah.
But they're through to the next round. But they are not in the qualifier. They're in the qualifiers. They are not in the first 8 of people that they don't have any other game. So City made it through. Another game that was of interest was the game between Dinamo Zagreb and Milan. Milan, if they won, they could have made it into top 8, but they lost and they are in the playoffs. Barcelona, Atlanta, nothing major there. Arsenal won away, 2-1. Nwaneri scored a crazy goal. That young boy is is something else. Brest Real Madrid was another interesting one. If Brest had won, they would have been in the first 8, but they lost at home to Real Madrid. So both of them are in the playoffs. So in summary, I think those were the key games. Was the City game that was a major one. PSG also needed to win, which they beat Stuttgart away 4-1 also. But then, if you now look at the draw, Aki,
okay, go on.
Or do you want to talk about the games first before we move on to the draw?
No. Keep going. I think this is good. Keep going.
So looking at the draw, it's interesting the way they've done it. So the first game, or the first game that I saw that looked kind of awkward to me was the fact that Brest were playing PSG, and I'm wondering why would you have two French teams playing themselves? I mean, there were multiple options that you could have selected from. So I thought that was odd, and I thought that was unfair to the French teams. Don't get them to knock themselves out in the first knockout phase. You could have done it such a way that the French teams will not meet each other. There were just 3 of them in that round. So they could have worked something out. But hey, it is what it is. Then the other game that is of interest, or that a lot of people will be focused on, is Man City, Real Madrid. Man City,
that's a big one.
Real Madrid. This is like the 3rd season back to back that they will meet in the knockout rounds. Both teams are Jekyll and Hyde in terms of the way they're playing. City is much worse than Real, but sometimes you also don't know which Real will show up. The one that will spank somebody silly, or the one that will lose 1-0 to Espanyol. You never know. So that's an interesting game. We'll do predictions when the time comes for those. So I won't go into predictions for now.
We're 9 days away from the first games. Yeah.
So we'll do the prediction next week then. So the other games are Brest Paris, Club Brugge Atlanta, City Madrid, Juventus PSV, Monaco Benfica, Sporting Dortmund, Celtic Bayern, and Feyenoord Milan. Now, the other interesting bit, Aki, is the fact that they've actually also kind of drawn a draw of how the path of these teams all the way to the next round. So we have an idea of who people will play when they win. Yeah, or not really an idea, perfect idea, but if you win, you are either playing this person or that person, which I found very, very, I don't like that. Let them play.
Okay.
Then you do another draw. So you will do. It's better that way. It's a bit more. It brings a bit of more intrigue, more fun to it. I don't like this option of, oh, if you win, it's either you play this person or you play that person. I don't like that. But that's what happened in the Champions League. Now that the 16 games or the 18 games are over, Akin, I can categorically say that I prefer the old format. I don't like this one. I don't like this one. Because if you look at the table at the end of the day, Akin, look at the people that are below the cutoff line, below the threshold. There's nobody that is surprising in there. There is nobody. Maybe RB Leipzig. That's it. Every other person, you will expect them to be where they are. Over to you.
So I think I may also prefer the old format still. But I think being objective and being honest, first couple games were more exciting in the old format. But the last couple games, and especially the last day, was way more exciting in the new format. So, you got to pick your poison, right? Because in most cases, by those last two games, City has already qualified in their group. Real have already qualified in their group. So the randomness of it all is the intrigue, right? Not knowing, that they didn't really weight it, that you must play this kind of club or that kind of club. You don't know who you're getting. So it's just the randomness of it all, But you know what they're going to do? They're going to Super League this in such a way that they'll start seeding, right? So you get a certain level of club and, and they'll mess it up instead of just letting the randomness continue. You meet whoever you meet and it is what it is. And it all evens out later. You see that they'll mess it up next year. It'll be worse.
So maybe this qualifier, this next round, maybe when we see the games or when we watch the games, it might then also, maybe sway me to this new format. Yeah. Because frankly, I don't think you typically get a Madrid City this early. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the second round of a Champions League game. It's odd. I don't think you will. Because the two of them will most likely have topped their group. But frankly, with the way City played this year, City could have been second in their group, even if it was the old format, if you get what I mean. Anyway, so those are the draws. Let's see what the qualifiers will look like. The first 8 will get a reprieve. They're not playing. But the next from 9 to 24, they play each other, and we'll see how it goes. Okay?
Okay. Yinka, let's quickly do our European tour. I want to do the EPL last. So let's start with France.
PSG won. They won. They were way to, I think it was Brest, wasn't it? I watched the game to some extent. Yeah.
I didn't watch it.
Yeah, they played Brest. It was 5-2.
Who won?
Your player, PSG won. What a pity Dembele. Guess who's the highest goal scorer in the French league right now?
Dembele.
It's what a pity
over
Dembele.
My Canadian friend. No, he had a great game in the midweek.
Greenwood is number 2, actually. Then your Canadian friend is number 3. So right now, Dembele, since Mbappe is left, Dembele has, whether we like it or not, he's playing like the Dortmund Dembele. And I don't know how long this will last. I don't know how long his legs will last, because if there's another player that is very injury prone, is Moussa Dembele. Or Usman, rather. I say Moussa. It's Usman Dembele, this is Usman, right?
Yeah.
This is Usman, yeah. So, but Dembele had a good game. I think he scored 2 or 3 goals against Brest. Now, these guys are playing again next week because they're playing in the Champions League. Yeah. They're playing against each other again next week. Interesting times. But other than that, is usual business in the French league. Where do you want us to go next?
Okay. Let's do Germany next.
So Germany had some interesting games. Bayern Munich were at home to one of the teams that came up from the Oberliga, and they were leading 4-1, and they almost threw it away. But luckily, the game ended 4-3, so Bayern got a win. Leverkusen won again also today. Our Nigerian striker is back. What's his name again? Victor Boniface. Boniface scored, and they won 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
So Germany is interesting right now. But Leverkusen are catching up with Bayern, and I think it's going to be a 2-horse race to the end of the season. If Bayern Munich should sneeze or sleep, Leverkusen are waiting. They are waiting to take over. So we'll see how that goes.
All right. So last week, I think you mentioned you may not be too sure that this is a foregone conclusion, that Bayern will win.
Yes.
And I thought, I don't think they can throw it away. But I want to examine that, Yinka. So I'm looking at the table right now, and you may be onto something. So I always go with the goals difference, and right now it's massive, right? So Leverkusen plus 22, Bayern plus 43. Goals scored is 62 to 49 Bayern. Goals against is 19 to 27. So they've scored 13 more and conceded 8 fewer than Leverkusen. But why do I agree with you, Yinka? They're not losing games. Neither of them is losing games. Each of them only has one loss each. So this is very much like Liverpool Arsenal, right? Where Liverpool have lost once, Arsenal have lost twice. The difference is just the wins and the draws. So right now, it's 16 wins for Bayern and 13 for Leverkusen. And then 3 draws and six draws. So something to watch. Bayern are obviously the best team, but would they slip up? In Germany, it's only 34 matches, right? So, and they're at 20 right now. So there's only 14 left, right? So
and they've not played each other. Munich still needs to play Leverkusen, the second leg, and Bayern are just, I don't know, they are inconsistent. I don't trust Bayern. I don't trust Bayern.
But I think if they can get past Celtic in the Champions League, that gives them something else to think about, something else to concentrate on, and then we'll just see. We'll see
how it goes.
Okay,
we'll see how it goes.
All right, cool. All right, so let's go to Serie A real quick.
So Serie A had a very, very eventful weekend. I told you last week that the Milan derby will be today. Milan Inter played earlier on today. Milan were leading 1-0 until injury time, where Inter then equalized, right? And I was thinking that Napoli will be, they'll be going like this to be like, oh, this is our chance to, create some gap. So Napoli also had their Rome derby. I'm sorry, Napoli also had their game with Roma, not the Rome derby. They had Roma Napoli played this evening. The game finished before we started recording.
At Roma,
At Roma. So same thing, Napoli scored first and Roma equalized in injury time. So both front runners in the Serie A ended up with draws. So we were just as we were before the game week started. So Napoli is still top with 54 points, but they've played one game more than Inter, who have 51 points. Then Atlanta a bit further down, they're 7 points off Napoli. Atlanta also drew yesterday. So the only people that gained this week was Juventus. I'll talk about them quickly. Juventus beat Empoli, and their new striker, Kolo Muani, scored 2 goals, 2 good goals, actually. Then Vlahovic is back also. Vlahovic also scored today. So I'm like, strikers in Juventus are like the London bus. You wait for the bus forever, then 2 come at the same time. Because they've been without strikers.
That's hilarious.
They've been without strikers forever. And all of a sudden, in one game week, you have 2 strikers that are on fire, But yeah, Juventus won forward.
So Kolo Muani is an interesting one to me. I really thought his homecoming would work out for him in France. I don't understand. I don't get why that didn't work out. But he's also not an out and out striker, right? So it's just a very interesting player for me.
Yeah.
But Yinka, I want to use the same theory that I just explained. I want to use the same theory to try and figure out who might win Serie A. So, like you said, Inter are second, but they have a game in hand. They played 22. Napoli have played 23. They've won 15. Napoli have won 17 of their 23, right?
Yeah.
But Inter have drawn 3 times, but have only lost once. Napoli have drawn 3 times. They've lost 3 times. Inter have scored 18 more goals than Napoli and conceded only 3 more. So they have a 15 a plus 15 goals difference. Plus 15.
Yeah.
And so if they win their next match, they'll be tied on points with a
That's
plus
an extra
15.
Point.
That's an extra point. It doesn't mean I trust Inter the most. It doesn't mean that at all. But they have to be the favorite right now.
Okay. I agree with you.
All right. So let us do La Liga real quick.
Oh, you mean the league that no one wants to win?
Stop it.
But that is the only way I can explain La Liga to you. It's the league nobody wants to win. Who would have thought that Real Madrid will go to Espanyol with the big 4 playing Rodrigo, Mbappe, Vini Jr., Bellingham, and they could not break down Espanyol? They could not break down Espanyol.
You can't have it both ways. You can't complain that the small teams lay down and die for the big teams, and then when they don't lay down and die, you complain. You can't have it both ways.
Okay. So guilty as charged. But I was going somewhere. It didn't let me land. So
go for it.
The Big Four played this game, and they looked offensively dire. That's where I was going to. Vini and Mbappe looked. It would have been better if it was either one of them that was on the pitch. That's where I was going to. Espanyol,
which we established last week, that if one doesn't play, the team is better. Yeah,
exactly. So that's where I'm going to. Right. Espanyol were kind of lucky, to be fair. The guy that scored, in my opinion, shouldn't have been on the pitch. He should have been sent off. Yeah. There was a breakaway by Mbappe. He beat the guy and he was on his way. This guy took a professional foul, the Lewis Kelly type, but this was a proper stud down the back, stud down the Achilles, right? And he was given a yellow card. If the ref had given that guy a red card, I would have said, yeah, fair enough. He went studs down his Achilles, studs up on the ground, studs up down his Achilles, right? And it was that same guy that scored. It was that same guy that scored the winner for Espanyol. But I'm happy. I love it when there's chaos, as I put it. So there's chaos in La Liga right now because Madrid won. Atletico Madrid, that is, and also Barcelona won by the skin of their teeth. And Lewandowski scored a 1-1 earlier on today. So right now, it's 49, 48, 45. And dare I say, Atletico Bilbao, don't write them off, although they drew earlier on today. If they had won, they would have been on 43, yeah? Which is just 6 points of Madrid, but they drew, so they're on 41. So that's how La Liga is. Nobody wants to win that league.
So, Yinka, may I respectfully write off Atletico Bilbao? So we can
I think so.
Move them off.
I think we can
move them off to the side and we can move on. So
we can move on.
I want to be consistent. Yeah, I want to be consistent. So I will focus on my goals difference theory again. Okay? With everyone having played 22 times and only 16 matches left, Real Madrid have won one more match than Atleti and Barca. They've won 15. Atleti and Barca have won 14.
Yep.
Right? Barca, like I said last week, have lost too many. They've lost 5. Atleti only 2. Real now 3 with this weekend's loss, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Barca have scored 10 more goals and 23 more than Atleti.
Yep.
And Barca have only let in they've only let in 3 more than Real. They've let in 10 more than Atleti, right? So they have a plus 36. Real have a plus 29. Atleti have a plus 23. So if this thing gets tight, I will have to back Barcelona. But we'll see. Right now, no one has a game in hand. And they're
no one has
4 points, but 4 points behind is a lot
and
in this league where
they still play each other.
Yeah, Barca will have to win that to win the league. They'll have to. Plus, head-to-head matters as well, right? Head-to-head is the first tiebreaker, not goals difference in Spain. So head-to-head is the first tiebreaker. So, Okay, Premier League. There was a really, really odd scoreline on Saturday, right? Which was Nottingham Forest playing at home 7-0 against Brighton. Should we read anything into that?
Okay. We should. A couple of things.
Okay.
Nottingham Forest are legit. Even if they don't make top 4, right? I think this is not a flash in the pan, at least for this team. Okay. Well, I don't know what will happen in the future, but this particular season, you have to give it to them. Their coach has been able to mold those particular set of players into, top 4, legit top 4 contenders. So give it to him. Yeah?
Okay.
Second point from that game, Brighton, now we can see that when they are not, what's the word? When they are not, I don't want to use the Niger slang, but when they're not cheating the refs or cheating their way, Brighton are not all that. Yeah? Brighton aren't all that. It was obvious. That particular game, Brighton had 63%, more than 60%, or 63% or thereabout possession in that game, and you couldn't score one goal. One goal you couldn't score. So if Brighton had 63, if my math is right, that is 37% to Forest. Forest got 7 goals on 37% possession, right? It's horrible. And I've said this about the Brighton coach. I think he's naive, and I think he's indulging some habits in his team that is not the attitude or the habits that you expect of someone that wants to, move the team to the next level. Yeah. But give it to Nottingham Forest. They're not a flash in the pan. They are legit. Will they make top 4? I don't know. I frankly don't know. But nobody should look at them sideways and be like, yeah, you guys are just They are a legit squad. They play good football when they have to, and they know. Even if you notice, you will see that Nuno Espirito has kind of also tweaked his style of play. The guy came to Emirates and chopped 3 because he thought he could play football. Now he's playing against Brighton. He's like, guys, just soak up the pressure and hit them on the counter. That's what we're going to do. And that's what he did. And with 37% possession, they scored 7 goals. And they had XG, Aki, of 3.4. Guess what XG Brighton had? They had 0.8.
Wow. And they didn't score the 1. Okay.
And they didn't even score 1. So kudos to Nottingham Forest. Love them, love the coach. They're doing well.
Okay. Bournemouth, who had a winning streak going on, ran into Liverpool. A very interesting game. Very interesting game. Liverpool again, came up like champions. They did what they had to do. I thought the penalty was dubious at best. And it's so funny because what they call the trip, was not called today outside the box for Leandro Trossard when he was tripped exactly the same way in front of the referee. So just the lack of consistency is infuriating as a fan. But then, of course, while all that was going on, Bournemouth were hitting the goalpost and being wasteful.
Missing chances.
They played well. Missed chances. I love Semenyo. I truly, truly, truly love that kid. Semenyo.
Yeah.
He's special.
Yeah,
he's special.
I like him.
But you know who's really, really, really special?
Mo Salah.
Mo Salah.
Mo Salah.
Mo Salah did again what he always does. It's so funny because I knew that was going to be a goal before he even received the ball. And I was already feeling sorry for that defender. He was caught in no man's land. He's like, do I cheat? You know, do I play him tight? Do I give him room? And before he could make a decision, Mo Salah just juked him and the ball was in the back of the net. And the goalkeeper was like, what is happening? You know? And, you know, I'm like, just give him the player of the year now. I don't know if they're going to win the league, but Mo Salah will be the player of the year. So, any other matchup you want to talk about?
Just before we move on from Bournemouth, Liverpool, right?
Yeah.
You're right about the penalty. I've seen this kind of trip VAR'd and cancelled, VAR'd and overturned, rather. Remember Kai Havertz, Man United at Emirates a couple of seasons ago. The ref gave on-field decision penalty. VAR called him to say that contact was not enough for that to be a penalty. Yes, the Bournemouth guy actually... Don't let me say the Bournemouth guy tripped Cody Gakpo. Gakpo's leg hit the Bournemouth player's leg. The guy was just running behind him. Was there contact? Yeah. Yes, there was contact. Yeah? But going back to my point, we've seen instances in the past where VAR said that's not a penalty. So what I thought was going to happen after the penalty was given was that VAR would said not enough contact for penalty. That's what I thought was going to happen based on empirical evidence. But that wasn't the case. There was a particular handball where Trent handled the ball with his hand, right?
Oh, yeah.
Controlled the ball with his hand, rather, and nothing happened.
That's crazy.
Right? So, for me, right now, everything is going well for Liverpool. The only tough period they've had, Liverpool, is playing 10 men against Fulham at home. And that game ended 2-2. That was when, what's his name? Their left back was sent off, right? Other than that, Liverpool, they had Trent is injured, Kwanzaa is injured, Konate is injured here and there. Liverpool have not been troubled or tested this season, by the elements, quote and unquote. Yeah, while every other team is battling with all sorts. So if it continues this way, just give the league to them already. Just give them the league already. There's nothing anybody can do, right? And I mean, I'm not even talking about injuries and stuff. I'm talking about luck. Semenyo's shot that crashed the bar on a good day should be flying in. Kluivert, open post, just to tap in. He tapped it over the bar. On a good day, that should be going in. But that's not what's going on for Liverpool. Yeah? Same thing with the game they played. Was it away to Brentford last weekend where Nunes scored 2 late goals? That game should have ended 2-2 or a draw at best. So Liverpool have everything going for them right now. If it continues this way, I can give them the league already. There's nothing anybody can do. Yeah? So the other game I wanted to talk about, Newcastle at home to Fulham. Newcastle, I told you, form matters a lot. Now, they don't look as in form as they were before they came to the Emirates and they beat Arsenal in the Carabao Cup. Fulham went there, Fulham won 2-1. Yeah? And everybody is shouting about bringing a striker. Go watch Isak in that game. You realize strikers play on form and confidence. Yeah? If both are missing, the best of strikers will miss sitters. It's just that there are some players that they are so evenly, they don't get fluttered at all. Their confidence and their form is always there, so they will always deliver. Form and confidence matters for strikers. Yeah? That's on Isak. And what else? Aston Villa lost to Wolves. Akin, did you watch that game?
I did. We were texting during the.
What's your take on Villa?
So, what's my take is, I think so. I don't know what happened to Buendia, but I think the inability to integrate Buendia into that squad was a mistake by Emery. And now he's gone off somewhere. I can't remember where he's
gone
gonna
to
go. If he
Leverkusen.
hasn't
He
gone,
played for
he's gonna go.
Leverkusen today.
He's got to Leverkusen.
No, he played.
Yeah.
He played
So for me, that was a mistake. That team needs more creativity. I love the Morgan Rogers kid, but he's just a kid. Yeah, he'll score the occasional hat trick or whatever. You know, he's amazing. But Buendia is like a real playmaker if you can get the best out of him. John Durant, unearthing someone like John Durant from the MLS that no one knew about him, no one had ever heard of him. I think he only started 7 matches in the EPL, right? Bring in, what is it? Daniel, is it Malin? That's his name?
Malin, yeah.
Malin, bringing him, always liked him, but it feels like another Villa level player and not one that will elevate you. You know, it feels more like depth than elevation, if that makes sense, right? So I'm worried that when Emery gets hit in the mouth, he goes back to what he's comfortable with, you know? And now it's bringing in Rashford, whom I like, but I like him as a punt. You know what I mean? I don't like him when I'm sitting 8th behind Nottingham Forest, you know? I'm behind a wounded City, you know? And a Chelsea trying to prove to me and to you that they're better than what they are. I think I don't think they're gonna make the top 4. I think they may not make the top 6. That game was very frustrating to me. If I was a Villa fan, I would be extremely frustrated because Wolves are not good, Yinka.
Yeah.
But on the day, Villa were worse on the day, Yinka.
Atrocious.
Villa were worse.
They were worse.
It was terrible.
And I can, it's a derby. It's a Birmingham derby.
Oh, yeah. That's all I'm saying. It's a Midlands derby or whatever it is. Yeah.
That makes it worse. Yeah? That makes it worse. And you're right. I think Emery has his comfort zone. Emery is an underdog coach. Once you want to turn him around into, we are giving you all the money in the world, he doesn't know what to do with it. That's the way I see it. That's the way I see it, right? Questionable acquisitions at times, right? So that's why when he was at Sevilla, when he was at Valencia, was it Valencia? I can't remember which club. One of the Spanish clubs. Was it Villarreal or Valencia? I can't remember. That's what he was comfortable with. He loved being an underdog. Even at Sevilla, winning all those UEFA Cups, he was always an underdog. Yeah. So I'm not too happy with the Rashford acquisition. Yeah. I like Daniel Malin, but he's okay. But it's not. Is he elite? No. Selling Duran, I didn't get it. But if it brings them money, but that money you're spending it on taking on board Rashford's £350,000 per week, then that's not money well spent. I'm sorry, it ain't. Maybe the future will prove me wrong. I hope so. But I looked at that game and they felt flat, right? They looked uninterested, and it was a derby. Yeah, they just didn't show up. Let me just put it that way. And to make matters worse, what's his name? Ollie Watkins. The moment Arsenal got linked to him, he gets a groin injury. This guy has not had an injury. He's been playing all season. Even last season, I don't think he missed any game. Yeah. But Villa should be careful, right? They are not. Like, if you look at the table right now, Villa are 8th behind Bournemouth.
Yeah.
That's not where Villa should be. I'm sorry, that's not where Villa should be. Anyway, so that was yesterday. That was on Saturday, right? Is there another game on Saturday you want to talk about?
Don't think so. You already talked about Fulham winning at Newcastle. Yeah, no, we can talk about today. Man, you played, the first game today, and then Arsenal, City.
So, once again, Man U, they've proven me right again. My theory that I even said it. I said it. They don't know how to balance offensive play with defensive play yet. If they are to just soak pressure and play on the counter and then score, yes, they look solid. They look well put together and compact. But once they have to take the game to another team, they look suspect as you can imagine. They look just too suspect, right? Even the lineup that they started off with today looked awkward. Yeah. So there was no recognized striker. I think it was Garnacho that was up front. Diallo. It was just a mess. They didn't start Hoyland. They kept him as Xerxes didn't start. I don't know what Amorim was thinking. That lineup against a Crystal Palace is just, for me, it just doesn't work. Maybe this is part of the teething, the numbing and forming, all the teething problems you have with the new team. If that is the case, all well and good. Watkins, they looked bad today. United looked bad today. They just held the ball. They were just playing left right like the old Arsenal. They had more possession. They had 67% of the possession, and they only had XG of 1.3. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, 33% possession, 2.6 XG. Yeah, they created bigger chances than United. The only big chance, Man United created only one big chance in that game. So I know Amorim this is not his team. He's trying to pull together his team. But also, we'll talk about transfers later on. But the first person you're buying is a left back. And I'm wondering, you even went to buy the left back. You bought Dogu, who is short, he's not the tallest. What's the difference between Dogu and Malasia? What's the difference between Dogu and
That's a
what's
great
his name?
question.
The Argentine guy that got injured today.
Yeah,
What are we
Martinez.
doing? And you're paying 30-something million. I can't remember how much they're paying for Dogu. And I'm like, who is sanctioning these deals again? I thought you guys would do stuff differently. What's going on? Anyway, I'm not bashing United. I'm just not. Yeah, the fans think, oh, we've arrived. Once they play a big team, a team that they expect to beat them, and they are resolute and they defend properly, and they get a draw and the win, their fans go, hey, we are back. Then this happens, right? Then they fall back again. I'll be like, what's going on? You guys are not learning, and your new coach too. This Dogu acquisition, I'm looking at it sideways. This is not who you should be buying. I'm sorry, this is not who you should be buying. I rest my case.
But Yinka, they also think Aiden Heaven is gonna come save them. The kid they bought from Arsenal. So you can't tell these people anything. So it is what it is. So there's a couple of things. I know we still got to talk about City. Maybe we'll talk about. You know what? Let me say this, and then we'll talk about City and Arsenal. There's some things. I'm just gonna talk about the table real quick, right?
Yeah.
So, Yinka, guess where Crystal Palace are again?
they're
12th again.
11 or 12th. Yeah.
They're 12th again. So when they fired Patrick Vieira, what did I say? 12th is their ceiling. This is who they are.
Yeah.
So when you don't appreciate the man who brought you up from hovering right around 17th, 18th, right? And consistently puts you around the 12th position with a FA Cup final. I mean, who do you think you are? So guess what? After their big win against Man United today, they are back in 12th, which is exactly what I've always said they are. Okay? Guess where Tottenham are, Yinka?
Below Crystal Palace?
Yes. 14th. 14th. Guess where Man U are?
below Crystal Palace, above Tottenham.
In 13th, your top 4 campaign is in full swing, and I'm so happy for you. Okay, so
it's all about perspectives.
Tottenham are 4th on the second part of the table, and Man United are 3rd. So happy days. The one thing I do want to talk about, under David Moyes, Everton seems a much different team. I think they were home to Leicester. They scored 4 goals. They didn't concede any. Leicester are in real trouble, and Leicester could get relegated. Right now they're 18th. The only difference between them is one game. Wolves have 1 more win and 1 fewer draw. That's it. They've lost 15 games each out of 24, which is abysmal. And Leicester have by far the worst goals differential. So I think the new manager bounce is over for Leicester, and it's just beginning for Everton. So Everton seem to have now separated themselves completely from the pack. They're 7 points ahead of Wolves and just 1 point behind West Ham, even though they have a game in hand. They will have a game in hand after West Ham plays Chelsea tomorrow. Everton will have a game in hand on Wednesday. And now that game on Wednesday is the rescheduled game against Liverpool. Now I'm not so sure. It's a sure thing for Liverpool.
Next week Wednesday.
It's next week. Okay, so not this Wednesday. Okay, got it. Okay. Thanks for correcting that. Yeah. So all right. So let's talk about City, Arsenal. I'll let you set it up.
Before we move on to City, before I set up City, Arsenal, going by a goal difference theory, I'm just looking at the table right now, and there's some interesting things here. Aston Villa have a negative goal difference.
Yeah, I see that.
Brighton have
-3.
a negative goal difference.
Also -3.
Right. United have a negative goal difference. That is those 3 clubs that I've mentioned right now. That is not where they should be playing at. That is not where they should be at all. Yeah. Emery should be careful. If Villa don't turn around this season and end up in a respectable position, he might get the boot. The only thing going for him right now is Champions League. That's the only thing going for him. If they get knocked out in Champions League and this doesn't turn around, he might get the boot. Moving on. City, Arsenal. So, so the game ended 5-1. But the story of the game, when you have a game that's carrying a lot of baggages from previous episodes, right? There are so many things. Arteta being Pep's prodigy, ex-City, the whole stay humble, Haaland's arrogance, Haaland's hitting the ball at Gabriel's head when they equalized at the Etihad earlier on in the season. Haaland telling Miles Lewis Kelly that who are you when they had a bust up on the pitch. So this was a game that both teams will have circled in their calendars and be like, we'll meet at the Emirates, which is exactly what happened. But the game, at the end of the day, in my opinion, was a kind of anticlimax because it wasn't really a competition. City just held on to the ball and were kicking the ball all over the pitch. City didn't have as much clear chances as I thought they would have. Now, before we go into the details of the game itself, I'll go to the lineup. Pep started with an offensive lineup against Arsenal for the first time in a long time. The only City midfielder he had was Kovacic. Bernardo Silva played alongside Kovacic. Mamouche, who is a striker, shadow striker off Haaland. Then he had Savinho and he had Foden. You played a midfielder at right back in Darwin. I said Darwin, not Darwin Nunes. Matthias Nunes, I think.
Matthias Nunes, yeah.
That was your starting lineup. Luckily, he didn't play the kid defender this time around. He played Stones, right? And he also he played Ortega instead of the goalkeeper.
I don't get that.
Which I don't get. So I looked at the lineup and I'm like, this is. I felt somehow. I was like, I feel kind of disrespected. This is not Brighton or Leicester or whatever that you're playing. You're playing. You want to play Arsenal with this team? That was the first thing that occurred to me. I'm like, okay, maybe Pep is at it again. Maybe this is going to be a masterclass, or maybe the lineups or the formation will be different and stuff. But when I saw the way the game started, I'm like, the way Arsenal was pressing them, I knew something was going to happen. I knew it. Because you can't have that kind of weak structure against Arsenal, yeah. And surprisingly, within 2 minutes or thereabout, pressure from Arsenal got the ball off. I thought Havertz would have scored himself, but lack of confidence once again. It laid off Odegaard. Odegaard scored his second goal in the league, which is he needs to up his numbers significantly. Right? And after that, City proved dangerous on some occasions. They had some shots here and there. But the clearest chance fell to Havertz again, who should have converted that chance. Yeah? But you could see somebody lacking in confidence and having the weight of the whole world on his shoulder. Yeah? You don't sidestep those kind of balls. Anyway. And that's a finishing lesson for another day. He missed the chance. Then City, the second half comes in. Haaland gets his one chance that he will always get. Good movement by him, to be fair. He stepped in front of Saliba, jumped, nodded the ball. Maybe Raya should have done a bit better for that goal, but I don't blame him. Headers are very difficult for goalkeepers. Yeah. Then the most significant part of that game was the fact that Arsenal scored immediately after City equalized. If Partey's goal didn't go in, that game could have gone either way. To be fair, it could have gone either way. But Partey's goal and the timing of the goal kind of sucked life out of City's momentum. Yeah. And right there and then, the fact that a particular team was fitter, and I'm surprised I'm saying this, Arsenal looked fitter than City. Now, I know Arsenal had a rest. Most of their players had a rest during midweek away to Girona, yeah. And City had a must-win game, so physically and mentally they might have been tired, but they faded away in the last third of the game. They faded, and that is exactly what happened. That's why Arsenal just steamrolled them in the last 30 or 35 minutes of the game. So 5-1 scoreline, it didn't flatter Arsenal. I don't think it did. I think it was a battering. Frankly, it was. So kudos to the team. Kudos to Mikel Arteta. Kudos to everybody. Lewis Kelly, the young boys. Now you see, if that red card wasn't rescinded, this young man would have missed out his game. And all the tea bags that happened, we'll talk about it later on. But I need to flip this over to you. So, what do you think about the game? What are your thoughts on the game?
I'm not gonna say much. Yeah, I would say I was watching videos of Lewis Kelly and Nwaneri in the academy, right? Before this game. And Yinka, you're not going to believe me. I was literally thinking Arsenal needs someone who can carry the ball and progress the ball and break through the lines. I was thinking this at 1-1. And then Partey did it. And then Lewis Kelly did it again. And I'm thinking I saw Lewis Kelly do it at the youth level. There's a video making the rounds, where he went from holding midfield, all the way. He ended up in a Nwaneri goal, after a few people pinged it back and forth. And I'm like, man, Arsenal needs this right now.
FA Cup a couple of years ago.
Yeah. And I'm like, this is exactly what needs to happen again. And it happened. So for me, I think Arsenal will buy someone tomorrow. By the time people watch this video, I think Arsenal would have bought somebody. And I think it will be Watkins from Villa. I really do. I really do. Go on, Yinka.
Time out. Before you move on.
Yeah.
I'll send you a compilation of misses by Ollie Watkins.
That's fine.
That's all I'm going to say. I'll send you a compilation of misses by Ollie Watkins. Misses that are way more egregious than the one you saw from Kai Havertz today.
I promise.
Be careful what they wish for. I'm telling you. That's all I'm going to say.
I know. Yinka, you are the chasing pack, right? You have zero margin for error, right? You have to bury those chances. Also, there is no good center forward play left in world football. So, Yinka, please check how many games Kai Havertz has played this season. I know today was his 15th or 16th goal, and I think it's in 33 matches or maybe 34. He's right around 1 every 2 matches. That is, at this point in 2025, that's world-class center-forward play, center-forward results. Like, I'm not an idiot. Like, once you take out... No, I know this. So all these people... So with Arsenal, again, it's about depth now. You cannot lose Saka and Jesus and not bring in people. So sometimes it's just, look, Saka is who he is. Havertz is no Saka. But Jesus may be done. Havertz, the problem is when Havertz has to play every game, and the demands that Arteta puts on his center forward is just too much. You're gonna run out of legs. It's too much on one person. So this is not a passion of Havertz. Is scoring 1 every 2 matches. That used to be, world class production. And in today's world, once you take out 5 strikers across the 5 top leagues, that's the best you're gonna get. That's the best you're gonna get. I don't know what's. Go on, you can go on. Yeah.
To buttress your point, which I totally agree with. What you should be buying a striker for right now is depth. What happens if Kai Havertz gets injured right now, Arsenal is in major trouble. Yeah. So for me, that is how I look at it, and that is how I think we should be getting someone else. Yeah. But majority of the Arsenal fans out there, they want somebody to come in and replace Kai right now. And I'm like, the Watkins that you are rooting for, you guys don't watch Villa games, do you? Why do you think Duran kept on coming on this season? It was because Watkins was missing clear-cut chances. So you thinking Watkins is our, what do you call it? Your messiah, right? Or whoever they bring in is your messiah. It is so, it's wrong expectation. See, I watch the reactions. There are some guys, YouTube reactors, that follow the games and everything, right? I watched these guys today. Some of them were cursing Havertz, and it's not the first time. They were calling him donkey. Get this donkey out of this club. Get. And I'm like, be careful what you wish for, right? He's an Arsenal player. Support him all. You give him all the necessary support he needs. Criticize him, but don't go. The fact that I'm sure he's aware of this criticism, that is why the confidence is not there. And still yet, the effort, which I'm not a coach, but I know Arteta will love this, because if I'm a coach too, I would love it. The effort, the hard work. You don't see too many people do this. Amorim would jump at a Kai Havertz right now if he had the chance to buy.
Yeah.
Because he gives you over 1,000% than what his name Rashford will give you. So let's be careful with what we wish for as Arsenal fans. Yeah. But overall, the game, I was quite impressed with one particular player. I know you would think he's Martin Lewis Kelly. No problem.
Okay.
I loved him. but it wasn't Martin Lewis Kelly. Thomas Partey, by far, was the best player on the pitch today. I was shocked when the Sky people gave Declan Rice the man of the match. I'm like, did we watch the same game?
That's
Did we watch
what
the same
do.
game?
It's the tackles, it's the pressing,
or what?
It's the pressing. That's what it is. But it's okay.
Nah,
that's
come
fine.
on. Tom,
Yeah,
I see.
Yinka,
you and I,
Yinka
you know, we
today,
bash Thomas Partey a lot. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go. You go.
No. I was gonna say this is the day City missed your guy the most. So this was the quintessential Rodri game. So it's not when you're playing Bournemouth and Brentford, but it was today.
Yeah.
You know, the highest stakes. And you had one guy just marshalling, the midfield, and his replacement was not good enough. So that's my take on that.
Yeah,
but continue.
It wasn't. So Partey didn't put a foot. He was perfect today. Based on today's performance only, if you ask me, I'll say give him a 2-year contract or a 1-year contract at best. Don't spend the 60 million pounds on Zubimendi.
Never playing at right back again. Ever. Yeah.
Ever.
But I would buy Zubimendi. Because Jorginho is leaving. You have to buy Zubimendi if you can. You have to.
Okay. So Akin, here's my point. Priority right now for Arsenal is not Zubimendi. I'm sorry. It shouldn't be Zubimendi. Right? Unless you have enough in your kitty to buy multiple players in the summer. If that is the case, if you get Zubimendi, fine. Priority right now is you need somebody that can deputize for Saka and someone that can play up front. Those are the two things. I watched Brian Mbeumo torture Spurs today. I'm like, I can make do with this guy. We watched Semenyo torture Liverpool yesterday. We can make do with this guy. Do you understand what I'm saying? You need bodies, you need cover. Now, if you think Ethan Nwaneri is your Saka cover going into the future, all well and good. You can keep the money, get a proper striker, right? Get a proper striker, then you can say, if I have change, I'll get Zubimendi. But you're not buying any defender anymore, right? You don't even need defenders right now. We have more than enough. That's my position. Anyway, let's move on.
So you got to start out on the transfer window. The big one is Marcus Rashford that's finally been confirmed. He's on loan to Aston Villa. I'm biased. I like him. I wanted him at Arsenal. I hope Emery can get something out of him. He's still only 27. But, I thought about something, Yinka. In the last 4 seasons, he's scored single-digit goals 3 times. And then 30 goals the other time. So is he the 30-goal-a-season striker or is he the 8-goal-a-season striker? If you are what you consistently do, what he consistently does is score less than 10 goals a season with like 2 assists. So what is Marcus Rashford?
He's the single-digit season striker because he lacked motivation. The season where he scored the 30 goals, he was motivated, right? Right now, you need to play for something. You need to want something, right? And see, Amorim and United painted him in bad light. They want to force him out. That's why they were saying all this rubbish. I believe he's a nice guy. He just needs to get his head straight and focus on playing. And when you play, give it your 1,000%. He will settle around double digits a season. He's still a fantastic player. I like him also. Yeah. It's just that you and I have seen him on the pitch, right? He's doing stuff on the pitch. He's doing stuff on the pitch that we're like, guy, are you? It's like the Ramsdale of strikers. Let me put it that way. I won't say more than that. I think that's the perfect way to sum it.
That's well said. All right. Transfer window. Anything else you want to confirm or talk about on the transfer window?
So Neymar's deal confirmed. Back to Santos. There are quite a number of rumors flying around. Arsenal, is linked with everybody, and at every point in time, news comes out that this person is not moving. So Matthias Tel at Bayern, we thought it was, let's laugh at Spurs quickly before we quickly move on. Spurs thought they had a deal with him, and the young man said, actually, Spurs had a deal with Bayern, and the young man said, sorry, I'm not going to the toilet bowl. I ain't going to the toilet bowl. So let's collectively laugh at Spurs. Because of that only, I'm already a fan of that young man. Even if he doesn't come to Arsenal, right? I'm already a fan of him. But I think he's going to United. Good luck with him in United. Arsenal need to buy a striker. The only person they can wrestle off right now will probably be Watkins, especially now that there's Rashford and Daniel Malin at Villa. But like we said, Watkins is injured, so that's another issue altogether. But yeah, that's what's going on. The only club left to do something, in my opinion, is Arsenal. Arsenal need a striker. Every other club, I think they've plugged what they need. And tomorrow will be quiet across board, except for London. I think Arsenal need to do something. So we keep our fingers crossed.
Okay, can I just ask you about the John Durant move? So John Durant was on 70K a week at Villa, and then the rumors he would get 300 plus at the Saudi club Al Nassr. He'll play with Cristiano Ronaldo. He's 21 years old. He's from Colombia. Presumably, he's not from any rich background. His last club before Villa was the Chicago, whatever they're called in the MLS.
In MLS,
so,
Fire also.
Do you do it? Would you have done it? Do you fault him for doing it, for going for the money? I mean, he's only 21. He can come back at 26 and then have a 10-year career in Europe if he wanted. Is my take on this.
I can, like we say in Yoruba, that's what we say in local parlance. That is, yes, so what the bird eats is what the bird will fly with, right? 21-year-old player that was collecting, point of correction, you said 50. 50 is taxed at 40% in UK. So that means he was collecting 30.
No, 70. No, 70. Oh. I think it was a 70 or something. Yeah, a week, yeah.
So it's the net that is 50. Okay. So it's going to a 350 that is not taxed at all. Right? And like you said, St. Alain Maxim I think he's going to Napoli tomorrow. Napoli are getting him from Al Ahly or wherever he went to. So he went there, collected the money for a year or two, and he's off to Napoli. Yeah? If I'm Duran, even if I don't take the money, my family, knowing the family that I have, they will flog me for not taking they will flog me for not taking the money, Aki. Right? So I don't have a problem with this at all. Right? A footballer's career is too short for you not to think about the money. Aki, in you and I's profession, I can work till I'm 60. Even when I'm 60, I can do all the things. You've seen footballers, after they retire, they just fade into oblivion. If you can't do coaching, you're going into punditry. Or if you're not an ambassador, how many punditry positions are there? How many coaching positions are there? So you need to earn now for the rest of your life. So I'm not all these people that say, your career is over. His career is not over. Guys, let's stop that nonsense. I rest my case.
All right. Okay, Yinka, the big moment has arrived. Let us talk about 50th episode giveaway. Go for it.
So for our 50th episode giveaway, to say thank you to our current fans and prospective fans, we've decided to, to give something to our listeners. So on our YouTube channel, that's the platform we're focusing this giveaway on for now. We're giving away 4 jerseys of your choice, whoever we select at the end of the day. And the big prize or the main prize will be a PS5. So it's PS5 for the main winner, and we will pick 4 runner-ups, and we'll be giving those 4 runner-ups jerseys of their choice. The jersey options, unfortunately, will be limited to the popular teams, so that somebody will not win and say, I want Colo Colo from Chile's jersey. No, I can't get you a Colo Colo.
What's wrong with Colo Colo?
I can't get you a Colo Colo jersey or a Penarol. I can't get you a Penarol jersey. So it's going to be the options of Arsenal, City, Liverpool, United, Barcelona, Real Madrid, Chelsea, and the Milan clubs, Inter or AC Milan. So those are the options that you have.
Okay.
But hold on, before you ask me how do we get it, let me talk about that a bit. So there are a couple of requirements, and I think a lot of people will meet those requirements. And what will then happen is we'll have to do a randomizer and select 5 people. The main winner, random, and the other 4 people too. We'll randomize and we'll select. However, for you to qualify, right, for this raffle draw, quote and unquote, we'll need you to do a couple of things. Number 1, you need to follow our YouTube channel at the Popular Side Podcast. This particular episode, when it is released, the 50th episode, I will need you to like this particular episode and comment on this particular episode. And also, as part of commenting, I will need you to answer 3 questions. 3 questions. So the first question is, who was our first studio guest on the podcast? The second question, what jerseys am I and Aki, what are we wearing on this particular 50th episode? If you listen at the beginning, we went into details about the jerseys that we're wearing. Yeah. And the third question, which is more or less a giveaway, is which clubs do we support? Myself and Aki. Which club do we support? So the questions again, who was our first studio guest? What jerseys are we wearing on this 50th episode? And which club do we support? So once again, follow us on our YouTube channel. You like this particular 50th episode, and you comment on this 50th episode with the answers to the questions that I've just given. Good luck to everyone. And once this will last for 4 weeks, a month. So we'll keep this open for a month. So 4 episodes from now, of the 5 episodes from now, we will then announce the winners. The winners will be required to contact us with their details so we can get their prizes and get them across to them. So that's our giveaway on our YouTube platform. Good luck, guys. I guess that summarizes it perfectly. Akin.
When you say follow, do you mean subscribe?
Sorry, subscribe on our YouTube. You see, you're the tech person. I'm just a bloody accountant. Okay. I'm just a bloody accountant. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Then like the 50th episode and comment with answers to the questions that I've given. Thanks for correcting me.
All right. No worries. All right. Yinka, thank you for that. Yes, we are going to wrap. So we need to apologize in advance. This was a very rough episode technology-wise. So I think most people know this. We use a virtual studio where we're not together. Just to make sure, next week I'll probably go back up to my office instead of my basement. I don't know what's happening. So if you notice any lag, we apologize in advance. Sometimes I couldn't hear Yinka well. Sometimes it couldn't hear me well. That happens sometimes. It is what it is. We got through it. So we apologize if it's staticky or whatever. We will try to fix it and get better. Hopefully the final that you watch will be better than what I've been experiencing. It's been very frustrating, but we got through it.
Has.
So
we go through
it. We're gonna wrap and stop talking because there's just too much going on. So thank you, everyone, and we will be back next week for episode 51. If we had balloons, this is where we would drop all the balloons and the confetti, but we don't. Yeah. So thank you, everybody.
And we will see you.
We can insert virtual.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. I will see you next week. Goodbye.